Don't bet silly, bet savvy. Join Coral's Bet and Get Club and get a free £5 bet every Sunday. The smart money's on Coral.
Welcome along to the Racing Post Cricket World Cup show. I'm Bruce Millington, and in the company of Liam Flynn and James Milton from the Racing Post Cricket Desk, as well as Coral's David Stevens, we will be taking you through the best bets for the upcoming batch of group matches. We'll also have a little review of how things are going. First of all though, Steve-O, the only time I ever see you anywhere near cricket is that game they have during the glorious Goodwood, where you're poncing around on the sidelines with your blazer, your sunglasses and a flute of champagne. So is this a sport close to your heart?
Do you know, I'm a big cricket fan, yeah. The game that you refer to at cricket, I'm at Goodwood. I'm always there just to cheer my colleague Simon Clare on. Bit of a cricketing superstar in his day, Simon is. I'm there just to lend moral support. But no, listen, I love my cricket. Was lucky enough to be over in the West Indies earlier in the year to watch England get battered out there. That surprised a few people, and I think this West Indies side might surprise a few people in this World Cup.
Well, they're certainly going well as we speak. They've got Australia at around about 100 for 5. And Milts, this is a continuation of the kind of refuting of the pre-tournament theory that this was going to be a batsman's paradise, and don't I know it, having had a spread bet on there being loads and loads of runs. But what's causing it? A few experts are saying that the bowlers have started adopting a canny ruse of more short pitch bowling. Is that what's causing it?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly been part of the West Indies' success. Magnificent against Pakistan. Quick, hostile, short pitch bowling, and Pakistan were rolled over for 105. They've done the same thing against Australia this morning. I think the early morning starts aren't helping either. But yeah, you have to give the bowlers quite a lot of credit, actually. Talked about the West Indies and their short pitch stuff. You've seen kind of Pakistan and South Africa using the cutters pretty well late in the innings. And even a bit of funky captaincy. South Africa opening the tournament with Imran Tahir, and he struck with the second ball, getting Johnny Bairstow out. So I think bowlers have really stepped up. Having said that, if the weather stays fine and we move on to venues such as Taunton, I think the runs will start to flow. But I think you have to give bowlers a lot of credit.
Well, you say weather staying fine. It's going to absolutely tip it down tomorrow. We'll come to that later. Liam, what's been your big takeout so far from the early skirmishes?
Yeah, I'd echo the fact that I think we all expected this to be a batsman tournament going into it, and obviously the bowlers have been pretty impressive so far. But also on top of that, I mean, there was a lot of hype about leg spinners going into this tournament and then being sort of the real threat with the ball. But actually, we see sort of, like we say, these pace attacks coming in, especially the West Indies. Not so good at Trent Bridge, but Jofra Archer was very impressive in the opening game of the Cricket World Cup. So I think, yeah, that's been one takeout. Obviously, the West Indies for me have been one of the surprise packages so far. I think I'd seen them short, and they were sort of going off about 20-1 at the start of the tournament. Now, currently, obviously playing Australia shortened to about 6-1, I think, in places. And we just saw from their bowling attack how they can intimidate some very elite batsmen. We saw how they shook up Fakhar Zaman and Imran Ul-Haq of Pakistan in that opening game, and then they went on to actually perform very well at Trent Bridge against England. So I think West Indies is certainly one to keep an eye on.
Is it West Ham?
West Indies.
Steve-O's sitting there thinking, Christ, it's all a bit technical. Will, Steve-O, what's your big takeout? I mean, England were very short, weren't they, at the start, and they've come back out a little now, haven't they? Obviously that defeat by Pakistan wasn't great, was it?
I mean, my initial take-up, first of all, is England were too short at the start of the tournament, personally for me, 7-4 shots on home soil. I could see why they were favourites, because their one-day form is brilliant, but they just looked like there was always going to come a moment they'd come unstuck. I didn't think it was going to come quite so quickly as the second game. Pakistan are one of those sides. They are consistently inconsistent. On their day, they are world beaters, but other times they can chuck in a stinker. But I think when we come on to their first game, there are reasons perhaps why their warm-up didn't go that well for them. They've got quality throughout. So I think England, although they're still favourites 2-1, they deserve to be. But I think, actually, and it's good to see some of these results. I mean, South Africa will come, through 3 defeats from 3 games. This World Cup has actually come alive quite early. And those that thought it might just be a stroll in the park for the England side, I think are going to learn very quickly it's not.
Well, we've talked about this already, Milts. We're reaping the benefits of this much improved format where, they've culled the minnows, haven't they? And it just leaves us with this group stage where, every game has a competitive edge to it. And we've had a few shocks as well, Milts, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, there've been some really good performances. Bangladesh beating South Africa, and then their display yesterday against.
If you watched the show, the first show,
No,
was it? We all tipped them up.
That is true. That is true. But even Bangladesh's display yesterday against New Zealand, when I think the Sky win predictor had them down at 1%. With New Zealand 2 wickets down, absolutely cruising, and they gave them a huge scare. And New Zealand ended up squeaking home by only 2 wickets.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that anyone's going to be using that Sky win predictor as a tissue, are they, Steve? I mean, I've seen some fairly big differences between that and the actual in-running price.
There's always a case if you can have too much information. I think that we might have to file that. Same place we're filing sectional timings in horse racing.
Topical. 7th of June, Friday. Pakistan take on Sri Lanka down at Bristol. Well, we hope they take them on. The forecast is pretty grotty, so there will certainly be interruptions, and we might even not get a result. But let's work on the basis that the sun is going to be a surprising factor in this, and we get a full day's play. Steve, take us through the latest from Coral on Pakistan v Sri Lanka.
Yeah, Pakistan, having bounced back from that initial defeat to the West Indies, which, as we're saying, doesn't actually look too bad now, the way the West Indies are playing. They're 3-1 on, so you're fairly warm favourites. Sri Lanka, 5-2. Sri Lanka, one of the weaker teams, albeit there aren't too many weak teams in this. They're 5-2. So just saying about Pakistan, incredibly inconsistent, but on that day, brilliant. They've got a good leg spinner, Shadab Khan, young lad who was missing for the one-day series against England. I think it's a big factor there. Babar Azam is almost Kohli-like in his batting. So there is real quality there. Amir, they've got a really top fast bowler. So this is a Pakistan side I really do fancy can go deep in this tournament. I know in the Racing Post pull-out before, and it said do not underestimate them. They shouldn't have too many problems brushing off Sri Lanka here.
So you think the fads will oblige, do you, Steve-O? I'm impressed with your cricket knowledge, mate. I didn't know anything about that. I've known you 20 years and I've never, ever had a cricket conversation with you.
I've started very, very strongly.
Fantastic.
Liam, keep it going.
Well, yeah. I mean, Liam, if Pakistan were a racehorse, they'd be trained by Mark Johnson, wouldn't they? They either win or absolutely tail off. So what are they going to do here?
Yeah, absolutely. They're very unpredictable. But no, I think they'll get the win here. I think that they were very impressive against England. As we say, it's hit and miss with them a lot of the time. But I just think Sri Lanka, I don't think they've got enough, really. In terms of looking at a bet for this one, I mentioned Imran Ul-Haq, the opener, a little while ago, and there's a lot of pressure going on him going into this tournament. He's related to the Pakistan selector, so obviously it's a bit slight dubious that he got in the squad. Some Pakistan supporters may say he's inexperienced at this level as well, so he's got a lot to prove. And I think when he came into that first game with that pressure and then coming up against a West Indies pace attack like that, it was inevitable that he wasn't going to have a particularly good start. But then he followed that up with the 44 against England, and I think you can't really underestimate how important that was in that game. I think if Pakistan had lost an early wicket, it changes the complexion of that game completely. But alongside Fakhar Zaman, set a good base for Pakistan in that game. And I think, yeah, him to be top Pakistan batsman looks like a good bet to me.
What's his name again?
Imran Ul-Haq.
Okay. James, what's your idea of the best bet here?
Yeah, I'm struggling to get excited about 1-3 Pakistan. You know, we've already seen we're a week into the tournament and they've got the highest total of the tournament and the lowest total of the tournament. So that kind of encapsulates Pakistan cricket.
It's almost like, you know, people talk about being Spursy. This is Pakistansy, isn't it, really?
Yeah. I mean, you know, they were obviously really impressive the way they responded to that drubbing against the West Indies. And then to come out and beat the tournament favourites, England. Having said that, you know, Mohammad Hafiz, who top scored for them, Jason Roy dropped an absolute dolly when he was in the early stage of his innings. So they had a few slices of luck. They held their nerve well with Joe Root and Joss Butler scoring centuries. And for them to still close out the game, that was really impressive. Sri Lanka kind of scraped home in a really messy, rain-affected game against Afghanistan. It looked like they were going well, kind of 140 for one, and still managed to get bowled out for 200, which, you know, shows the weakness of their batting. One guy who did catch the eye was Nuwan Pradeep, the fast bowler. He ended up with 4 wickets. I don't really know why he didn't play the first game, because he'd been in fine form in the warm-ups and took 4 wickets in an ODI against Scotland as well. He's 7-2 to be top Sri Lanka bowler, and he's one of the few Sri Lankans who I think could have a decent day here.
Okay, at 10:30 even on Saturday, we've got England versus Bangladesh at Cardiff. Hopefully the rain has passed through by then. Steve-O, just give us the match prices and then we'll see what Liam fancies.
Yeah, no great surprise. England, long odds on here, 1-7 to bounce back, obviously, against a Bangladesh side 9-2 that can't be underestimated. I don't think there is complacency in this England side anyway, but certainly they can't afford to be complacent here off the back of that defeat. But 1-7 shouldn't be any problems.
Okay, we'll get your best bet, Steve-O, after Liam has taken what he thinks is the value here.
Yeah, I think England will be quite comfortable in this game. Obviously, they're too short for me, but Bangladesh have impressed me so far. They put on a pretty competitive score on a testing wicket at the Oval against New Zealand, and it was the pace attack of New Zealand that sort of caught them out on that occasion. I think in Cardiff, sluggish pitch, I think that it could be the spin bowlers who have quite a good day. And in particular, I mean, we looked at when Afghanistan were bowling at Cardiff, Mohammed Nabi and Rashid Khan took 6 wickets between them, Nabi taking 4, Khan taking 2. So, and with there's so much, I think there's a little bit of uncertainty about England's pace attack at the moment. I mean, Archer didn't have a very good game at Trent Bridge. Are we going to see him drop out? Will he maintain his place? Liam Plunkett is obviously, I think we missed him a little bit in sort of picking up middle over wickets. So with that in mind, I think back in an England spinner, Adil Rashid hasn't had the best World Cup so far, but I think he bowled tidily against South Africa, and he had a reasonably good economy at Sophia Gardens when they played Pakistan in a one-off T20, and I think he's due wickets, so him to be top England bowler.
Milts, who's your best bet on this one?
I really like the look of Mushfiqur Rahim to score 29 or more runs for Bangladesh. He's been so consistent. He was in the thick of the action against New Zealand. Fluffed a great run-out opportunity to get rid of Kane Williamson, and that was after he'd been ludicrously run out himself for 19. But that was a very rare setback for him in recent weeks. He passed this mark of 28.5 runs in all 4 games in the Tri-Series against Ireland and the West Indies. Got 90 in a warm-up game against India in Cardiff, the venue for this game, and then made 70 odd in the win against South Africa. I think he's a really, really dependable guy in the middle order, and I like the look of that. Mushfiqur Rahim, 29 or more runs.
And that was your fantastic tip in that first game, wasn't it, Liam?
Bangladesh.
You
Bangladesh
kept that one quiet. And what a headline! Rahim, a sterling bet, wasn't it?
I can't
do the headline
I
as well?
can't take credit for that, I'm afraid. But
that was excellent. Steve-O, what should we be backing when England take on Bangladesh?
Johnny Bairstow was in tremendous form coming into this World Cup for England. I think 3-1 for him to be top England.
Didn't last long, did it?
No, but there's plenty of time in this format of this World Cup. He's too good a batsman not to make hay at some point. Johnny Bairstow, 3-1 top England run scorer. And just going back to Liam's, Adil Rashid, 100-30 top wicket taker again. Couldn't put too many people off that.
Let's look at the other Saturday game and the Sunday match next.
Don't bet silly, bet savvy. Join Coral's Bet and Get Club and get a free £5 bet every Sunday. The smart money's on Coral.
Welcome back to the Racing Post Cricket World Cup show. Let's move on to the later game on Saturday. It starts at 1:30 at Taunton. Taunton, is that its debut, Liam? Taunton as a World Cup venue?
It is, I think, yeah, this World Cup, yeah, definitely.
Afghanistan versus New Zealand. And I guess New Zealand pretty hot favourites with Coral, Dave.
They are. I don't know how much of this as a treat will be down in Somerset, but 1-7 New Zealand, 9-2. If there is such a thing as a minnow in this tournament, Afghanistan probably fit that mantle. 9-2 here.
James, could there be a shock here? I mean, New Zealand only just got the job done last time, didn't they? So what are you expecting to happen?
I'd expect a pretty professional performance from New Zealand, actually. I mean, the way the fixtures are shaped up for them, had every chance to make a flying start, playing Sri Lanka and then Bangladesh and now Afghanistan. They've absolutely wiped the floor with Sri Lanka. Made life a bit more difficult for themselves against Bangladesh, who are a strong side themselves. But I just think they're going to be too good in all departments for Afghanistan, really. The bet that I like the look of is one of Coral's specials, Martin Guptill to hit 3 or more sixes at Taunton at 5-2. I mean, this venue, it just looks tailor-made for Guptill. He loves these flat tracks, small boundaries, and he wasted no time in attacking bowlers in the early stages of this tournament. Got 70-odd not out off about 50 balls against Sri Lanka. Hit a couple of sixes there. Hit another 6 against Bangladesh. Made a quick-fire 25. And I think he could take a real liking to the Afghan new ball bowlers.
That does sound like a decent price. Always worth having a good old scroll down through all those specials because, a lot of them you're going to be no thanks. But every so often one of them just jumps out and hits you between the eyes. Steve-O, what do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting one. Martin Guptill there, as James says, 5-2 shot. I think a bowler of the class of Trent Boult will be looking at Afghanistan thinking, I can make hay here. 3 or more wickets for Trent Boult. 6-4 doesn't sound huge, but as I say, he's a quality bowler on his day, and this will be one that he's had in his mind for a while.
And that opening pair of Afghanistan, they do take a cut at it, so you think Bolt will get some chances early. Liam, Afghanistan, New Zealand, the best bet is?
Well, I actually like look of another bowler. I like Mitchell Santner to be top New Zealand bowler. Trent Boult is an amazing bowler, and Matt Henry has probably been the surprise package of this tournament so far. I think he's taken 7 wickets. But as well as Taunton being a short boundary, I think it's also renowned as a bit of a spin paradise. It's curated by Somerset to sort of reward the turning ball, and I think Santner is New Zealand's most dangerous spinner at the moment. 1 for 5 against Sri Lanka, 1 for 41 against Bangladesh, and he's played a handful of games in the IPL for Chennai Super Kings, so he'll know some of these Afghan players quite well. So.
I like it. OK, chaps. Now then, big game on Sunday at the Oval. It's India versus Australia. Starts at 10:30. Who knows? Wouldn't be a huge prize that this ends up being the final. How are we betting on this one, Steve-O?
This won't be the final because the Australians will be on their way home before then, with any luck. But India, I think, can definitely make the final. They've shortened for this one, no surprise. Were 4-5, now 8-11. Australia even money. This is, you are right, this is one of the big hitting matches of this World Cup. And I think, as I say, India for me, I think are a team that will go deep in this tournament anyway. And I'm hoping, because let's face it, there's nothing better in any sport than watching the Aussies get beat.
Well, unless you've backed them, mate, which I have. So, honestly, this tournament, I wish it could start again and I could just scrub all the bets I've had. I've got everything wrong. So, Steve-O, you can open the batting here. Give me some inspiration.
There's a reason why I think India can go deep in this tournament. They've got Virat Kohli, arguably the best batsman in the world at the moment. They've got Rohit Sharma, who's in flying form. He's 3-1 to be top run scorer. And they've also got brilliant bowling attack, none more so than the fast bowler Bumrah, and at 5-2 to be top wicket keeper. Again, I think you've just got to look at the Aussies against the West Indies. They're a bit vulnerable to pace, and I'm really hoping that he can make hay.
Liam, what do you think will happen?
I'd be looking to back India in this one. I think they've got Australia beaten in quite a few departments, especially the bowling range. I think is their speciality and their trump card over the other market leaders. Australia's most destructive batsman in the first game was David Warner, and a lot of the players will know him from the IPL. And on top of that, Kumar, the India fast bowler, is his teammate at Sunrisers Hyderabad. And I think also they can bat deeper. They've got Dhoni in middle order, and Pandya is a big hitter lower down. So I'd just be looking to get with India in this game.
Is it 3 votes for India, Milts?
Yeah, I like the look of India at 8-11. Actually, yeah. I thought they beat South Africa with a little bit to spare. Obviously South Africa is struggling, but I just thought, they've waited a long time. Every other team had been in action at this World Cup before India, and then to come in and the opening spell that Jasprit Bumrah came up with, absolutely sensational. Got rid of Hashim Amla and Quinton de Kock, and that really set the tone. And India showing that they have got arguably the best fast bowler in the tournament. Then the spinners, Chahal came in with 4 wickets, Kuldeep Yadav, and they just looked like a really good all-round unit. Kohli for once didn't make big runs. He fell to a blinding catch by de Kock, but Rohit Sharma, in a tournament where batsmen have struggled to kind of apply themselves and stay in and make big scores, ended up 120 not out on what didn't look at the easiest of surfaces. So I think their batting looks in good order. Their fast bowling certainly looks in good order. I think their spinners can do a real kind of strangling job on the Australians in the middle overs.
OK, I am really looking forward to hearing how Coral bet on the next game we do, because I've got a strong fancy. We'll do that in just a mo.
Don't bet silly, bet savvy. Join Coral's Bet and Get Club and get a free £5 bet every Sunday. The smart money's on Coral.
Right then, on Monday at 10:30, South Africa take on the West Indies at Southampton. And what is the latest match betting here, Steve-O?
This is a toss of your coin. 10-11 South Africa, 10-11 West Indies.
OK, I'm going to open the batting on this one. I'm not going to give you any science behind it. I just think West Indies, I think South Africa have gone. I think West Indies are back, and I'm all over them. Milts, who are you all over?
Yeah, I would be siding with the West Indies as well. Obviously they're playing Australia at the moment. They've got Australia in all sorts of trouble at the moment, and I just think that the way their fast bowlers have started the tournament has been really, really impressive, and there's actually a lot more to their batting as well. We've not really seen a huge amount of their batting because they were only chasing 100 and 105 to beat Pakistan. You've got Chris Gale obviously at the top of the order, Shea Hope, who's been in terrific touch. Another guy I like who's around about 6-1 to be top run scorer is Shimron Hetmeyer. He's only 22 years old. He's already scored 4 one-day centuries in about 25 games. Got tons against England and against India. He just looks like a potential superstar in the middle order. One area where I have been quite impressed by South Africa is Rabada and Imran Tahir when he's taken the new ball. So I think they could make early inroads, but I suspect the West Indies with Hetmeyer doing a bit of a rebuilding job in the middle order can win this game and prolong South Africa's agony in this tournament.
Liam, what's your view of how this one will transpire?
Yeah, I think a West Indies win as well, but my best bet would probably be Andre Russell, man of the match, about 8-1. I think it's quite a big price. He took, obviously started well against Australia, but in the opener he took figures of 2 for 4 with the ball. He's placed lower down the order with the bat because the chase was so low, but he's one of the most devastating all-rounders in ODI cricket. I think he's 52 sixes in the Indian Premier League, scored 54 against New Zealand in a warm-up game, and I think with the bat as well, he's pretty likely to face sort of these first change South Africa bowlers who are, for me, some of the weakest in the tournament, in like Felia Kwayu, I think his name is, hasn't been particularly impressive so far, so 8-1 about him being man of the match.
Dave, is it a clean sweep for the Windies?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a case of full seldom differ, but I'm going for West Indies strongly as well. Really like the look of this. I don't know what's gone wrong with South Africa. 3 defeats from 3 matches, given they went into it as one of the fancied sides. But it is great to see this West Indies side back. Shimron Hetmeyer, who James spoke about there, as I say, I was lucky enough to watch the series when England were over there in the winter, and they love him out there because he's like the great West Indians of old. You know, he plays with such flamboyance, really wristy batsman, takes bowlers on. He's 6-1 to be top run scorer. You've got Chris Gale in your side, where you've always got a chance of fireworks with Chris Gale. Brilliant. I love watching Chris Gale in the field. He moves about as quickly as Alan Brazil does. Absolutely brilliant to watch. Fantastic batsman. And yeah, I just think that this West Indies side, a bit like Pakistan, I think are going to surprise people, and we're just underrated going into this.
Absolutely. I think, this is one of those ones, isn't it, where heritage and recent history kind of probably infiltrates the market to an extent. If you look at it on current form, it's hard to see why West Indies wouldn't actually be clear favourites, isn't it? OK, we'll rattle through the other 2 games that take place early next week. Tuesday at 10:30, Bangladesh versus Sri Lanka at Bristol, and on Wednesday at 10:30, Australia versus Pakistan down at Taunton. Is this the West Country World Cup or the actual, Cardiff, Southampton, Bristol, Taunton? When's Truro getting a game of St Austell? It's weird. Anyway, I think some of the northern powerhouses are in action, are hosting tournaments later on. But anyway, have you got anything for us in either of those 2 games, Liam?
Yeah, so for the Bangladesh, I like Bangladesh-Sri Lanka. I like the look of Mashrafa Mortaza, top Bangladesh wicket taker. He's an excellent captain. He has a tendency actually to step back a little. I think he's coming in quite low down the order, not always even bowling to be fair, but he took 6 wickets in the tri-series of Ireland and the West Indies. And he bowled fairly tightly against 2 very strong New Zealand openers in Guptill and Monroe. We saw what they did to Sri Lanka. So it could depend when he bowls, but Sri Lanka seem to struggle against the new ball against New Zealand. So if he opens, I think he's good value to be top wicket taker for Bangladesh.
Steve-O, anything in either of these 2 games catch your eye?
Well, listen, we're going to get a bit more form over the coming days anyway, but Bangladesh, fairly warm favourites, 8-11. They're definitely going to take some big scalps in this tournament at some point. Sri Lanka aren't going to be that big a scalp, to be fair. Sri Lanka 11-10, but yeah, I think Bangladesh, I'd say we'll see a bit more over the coming days, but I'd fancy Bangladesh to actually, I'd say, get one over here.
OK, James, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Australia v Pakistan, where's the value lurking?
Yeah, I think there's some juice in the 8-11 about Bangladesh. They're really impressive in the tri-series against Ireland and the West Indies leading up to this tournament, and obviously beat South Africa. Certainly not disgraced against New Zealand, and I just think they look stronger than Sri Lanka in all departments. Then in the Australia-Pakistan game at Taunton, one guy to keep an eye on for Pakistan is Asif Ali, who's a real power hitter in the kind of lower middle order. Scored a couple of very quick 50s against England in that series that Pakistan batted well in, but still ended up losing 4-0. And again, we've mentioned the boundaries down at Taunton. Like if Asif Ali comes in with kind of 10 or 12 overs to go, he could cause some real problems. So look at his kind of runs line and any specials regarding how many 6s he can smite.
OK, chaps, if you were only having one bet on this upcoming batch of World Cup matches, who would it be? James Milton?
I am sticking with Bangladesh to beat Sri Lanka. I think the Tigers have made a really promising start to the tournament.
At 8 to 11, I'm going to go West Indies 10 to 11 against South Africa on Monday. Liam, what's your nap?
I'm going to go Mitchell Santner, top wicket taker, New Zealand against Afghanistan.
And that takes place on, when's that?
That's Saturday.
That's on Saturday. And Steve-O?
I'm doubling up India to beat Australia at the Oval and then following up with the Windies beating South Africa.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Steve-O. Thanks, Liam. Thanks, Milts. Great stuff. We are back with another Racing Post Cricket World Cup show next week.
Don't bet silly, bet savvy. Join Coral's Bet and Get Club and get a free £5 bet every Sunday. The smart money's on Coral.